All right, Jabosai, good evening. Let us begin. So we are picking up Emir Sashem on Nun Hamad Aleph 55a, and we left off Amr Rav Yehuda, Shlosha Dvar Mekatzin Yom Ushnosav Shel Adam. So I'll say it's in the wide lines, I missed one night, so you could just come in whenever you want. That's the way it works over here.
I did not talk to your stuff.
Okay. It is what I'm saying. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 lines down in the wide lines. So Amr Rav Yehuda, Shlosha Dvar Mekatzin Yamav Ushnosav Shel Adam. So I'll say there are three things that literally again diminish the days and the years of a person. Now, remember again, we spoke about this a few nights ago, that whenever you see this expression in the Gemara of Yamav Ushnosav, so remember again, Shnosav means longevity, years. Yamav means days, which ultimately means quality of life. So there are, right, in other words, when Chazal speak about life, they really speak about the quality of life in two ways. There's longevity, but all of us know living a long life, living long biological years doesn't necessarily mean you're having a good life. So that's Shnosav. Shnosav is longevity, long years, but Yamav means quality of life. So there are three things that diminish a person's longevity and his quality of life. What are they? Number one, if someone gives you a Sefer Torah to learn from it, and you don't learn from it. So just to contemporize that, if you have an opportunity to learn, and you don't learn. Have an opportunity to learn, and you don't learn. So what happens if you have an opportunity to learn, and you don't learn? It diminishes your longevity, and diminishes your quality of life. Incredible. All right, well, we'll explain all of this in just a little bit. Koshel bracha levarich ve'eno mevarich. Someone gives you a koshel bracha, a cup, which literally means the opportunity to recite a bracha, and you don't do it. V'hamanik atzmo b'rabanos. And someone who goes ahead, manik atzmo b'rabanos means someone who conducts themselves like a leader. Now, interestingly enough, Rashi points out over here, maybe it's not Rashi here, but in general, the understanding of this is manik atzmo b'rabanos generally refers to someone who abuses authority. Someone who abuses authority. So somebody who uses a position of power in order to go ahead and lord over other individuals. So the Gemara goes through each of those. Sefer Torah likros ve'eno kori. So someone gives you a Sefer Torah to learn from, and you don't learn. In other words, you're given an opportunity to learn, but you don't take it. So why does this diminish longevity and quality of life? Tichsev ki hu chayecha va'orech yamecha. Torah is referred to as like the elixir of life, right? Torah is referred to as this thing will go ahead and extend your life. So obviously, if one doesn't go ahead and engage in Torah, so one loses out both on longevity and quality of life. I will say this is such an incredibly important idea because too often when we look at Torah, so we look at Torah as a body of knowledge that I learn in order to know what to do, what not to do. All right, so I have to learn Torah, just like. Which is true. It's not a false statement, but there's another piece to it, which is Torah really enhances your life. Torah, we spoke about this a little bit this morning as well. Torah really enhances your life. That a life with Torah is just fundamentally different than a life without Torah. Just like we spoke about this just this morning, right? A day in which I learn, I feel different. I just feel different than a day that I don't learn. What is that difference? What is that? What is that related to? That's related to because Torah fundamentally enhances and improves my quality of life. So if someone told you, I have something that could improve the quality of life, and all you need to do is open yourself up to it. And there's not even a minimum time commitment, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 hours, whatever you want to give to it. Your only obligation is you have to make it a fixed part of your day every day. If somebody were to tell you, this is what, I wouldn't bat an eyelash. Of course, sign me up. What's the shayla? Of course I'm ready to do that. Of course I'm interested in that. But yet, we have this beautiful thing called Torah at our fingertips, and all too often, we don't take enough advantage of it. So if I don't take advantage of it, you're not going to get punished. I will say, we graduate from punishment. Fear of punishment is a very infantile approach to anything, right? Like, so leaving, you're not going to get, if you don't learn Torah, you're not going to get punished. I mean, maybe you'll get punished, I don't know. But that's not what drives me. What drives me is like, I want a good life. I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about life. I want to maximize my time on this earth. Torah gives me the tools to do so. Next, koshel bracha lebarach ve'eno mevarich. If somebody gives you a cup for a bracha and you don't make the bracha, so that also diminishes longevity and quality of life. Tichsev va'avarcha mevaracha. So we'll say, so what's this? What does this mean? You're given now koshel bracha, right? What's the image that comes to mind when somebody gives you a cup of bracha and you don't take it? What's the imagery that comes to mind? I'm sorry. Shavuot brachas, benching, right? That's like kind of like benching, right? You're given a coast to bench, and you say, no, thank you. So say, what does this mean? I don't know. Let's say, I don't want to lead benching. So what's the? Not everybody's comfortable leading bench. I don't want to do it. So what's the pshat? Once again, koshel bracha represents an opportunity for spiritual development. So if you don't take your opportunities, right, just understand you're just depriving yourself of life meaning. If you don't take your opportunities, you're not going to get punished, you're not going to get patched, no one's going to get angry at you, but you're missing out. So someone is given a koshel bracha really representing this opportunity for blessing, and I don't take it, there's a repercussion for that. Next. The last one is one who abuses authority. One who takes his position of authority and goes ahead and uses it to lord over other people. This is incredible, by the way. This is a wild Gemara. Yosef died before all of his brothers. Right? Even though Yosef was the second to youngest, he died before all of his brothers. So the Gemara says, to what do we attribute the premature demise of Yosef? By the way, the simple answer is, to what do we attribute the premature demise of Yosef? Leadership. Right? So remember again, leadership, the Gemara says that Shmuel Hanavi was called the Zaken. But yet the Gemara says he was only 52 years old when he died. So how can you call him a Zaken if he was 52 years old? Right? And by the way, the closer one gets to 52, the younger it seems, right? So it's a kid 50. When you call him a Zaken, so the Gemara says that Shmuel Hanavi looked very old. And why did he look very old? Because he had the responsibility of the community on his shoulders. Leadership ages people, and leadership tends to sap people of their vitality and age them just in a more accelerated pace. So I always thought, like, the Pasha Pshat is, of course, Yosef died earlier than his brothers. Besides that, he had a tremendous amount of life trauma, which itself probably takes its toll on people. He also was the leader of Egypt, the essential leader of Egypt, that prematurely aged him. Gemara says that's not it. Because he lorded over his brothers. Now we'll see, what does this mean? Now, this is a very dramatic statement. So remember again, Yosef did not immediately reveal his identity to his brothers. And when he did that, he put them through the ringer. Now, that was intentional. That was premeditated. Not our topic for now, but there was a reason why Yosef did that and a reason he felt he had to do it. Yosef felt he had to see whether or not his brothers were the same brothers that sold him or they had become someone different. But at the end of the day, and I will say, at the end of the day, he exploited his power over them. And therefore the Gemara says that's why he died early. He took advantage of his authority, which also tells you something amazing, which is, I think what really comes out of this is, sometimes we hurt people. I don't mean physically. That's not like emotionally we hurt people. And we have good reason for why we did it. Not that I set out to hurt you, but there was a reason why it happened. It's not that I just set out to it, but if you hurt someone, even if you have good reason for why you do it, you're still responsible for that. Anytime you hurt someone, anytime you hurt another Jew, there's a level of response, even if it's for all the right reasons. So the Gemara says there's something amazing. Why did Yosef die before his brothers? Because he exploited his power. Oh, he had a reason. It wasn't haphazard. It wasn't revenge. It says Yosef really trying to figure out, but Lemaisa, you used your position to cause your brothers pain. And that there's culpability for. That's why Yosef died before his brothers. Overwhelming Gemara. I will say it's also such a good lesson in terms of politics, right? How sometimes it just feels, you can't never let ourselves become cynical or jaded, but sometimes it feels that, politics becomes all about power and holding on to power and not really serving constituencies. And the Gemara says something amazing. If all you're doing is looking to hold on to power, it never ends well. it never ends well. That always backfires. And who does it backfire upon? The one who's trying to yield and to hold all of the power. We think these things are new, right? These things are not new, right? These dynamics are as old as time itself. The Gemara goes,
not a political statement.
I'm sorry?
You're saying that's not a political statement.
I'm saying it's not a political statement per se, that it doesn't express a political stance. I think it's a reflection on politics, right? Like we see things all the time and you're like, don't you see that the best thing for you to do is to step aside, is like to step out, that you're part of the problem, you're part of what's broken, but and it's clear to everyone, and you could plug this into, I'm not even commenting on any particular political scenario, but you see this repeat itself, like in so many different areas, and everyone else sees it, except for the person with the power, because he or she likes the power, and so they're unwilling to give it up. But the Gemara just tells us, just understand, if that's what you're doing, right? If your goal is to hold on to power and you want to use that power, never works. Yosef died before his brothers. And ultimately, again, everyone else who seeks to exploit power, unfortunately, will suffer a setback as well. Incredible. All right, Rabbi Yehuda, Amarav. I just want to point out, the delay in today's show was that question. You told I was going to get by the whole daf. You have to ask a question. So, okay, that's it. I have to see you next. It's all Chaim. All right, what says the Gemara? I always have to find a scapegoat for my failures. The Gemara says this also. I will say beautiful Gemara. There are three people who need incredible compassion. In other words, who really need like divine compassion, divine assistance. Melech Tov, Shana Tova, V'chalam Tov. A good king, and I will say so much about leadership here, right? To be a good leader, you really need compassion from Hashem. To have a good year. I will say how incredible is this to learn this Gemara during Elul. This is why I did not want to finish the Masechta any faster, so we can do this during Elul. Right? For a new year, for a good new year, you need divine compassion. And ultimately, and v'chalam tov, to have a good dream. To have a good dream, you need Hashem. So we'll see what that means in just a moment. The Gemara says, Melech Tov, what does it mean for a good king? Dichsev, Pal Gemayim Leiv Melech Biyad Hashem. So it says, like rivers of water, the heart of the king is in the hands of Hashem. Meaning that HaKadosh Baruch Hu determines leadership. So I'll say this is also a very, very, very important idea. People get very worked up over elections, right? And obviously, we have to vote. You have to vote. You know, one of the greatest privileges we have in this country is the ability to make our voice heard. It's just important to understand that here's the one thing you could bank on. Whether your candidate wins or not, one thing is clear, the Ribono Shel Olam's candidate always wins. Always wins. And that's why, again, we kind of get very, very caught up in a lot of these things. Again, I have to put in my shas, I have to put in my effort. I have to, whatever effort means, whether it's casting your vote or, lobbying on behalf of someone, whatever it is that you do. But just understand, always take solace in the fact that God's candidate always wins. A melech tov is in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara goes right to Shana Tova. A good year depends on Hashem. D'chsev tamid einei Hashem elokecha ba mereishes hashana vad achar shana. So we'll say, by the way, what a beautiful Gemara to learn now, and how badly we need this. And I will say, think about this, that as we close out 5784 Tafshin Pei Daled, what a rough year. What an overwhelmingly rough year for Klal Yisrael. A year of loss, a year of war, and never have we appreciated this Gemara more than a Shana Tova, a good year. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could bring about a good year, and halavai we should be zochet to that in the coming year. Chalam Tov, a good dream. D'chsev v'atach limeni v'hechieni. So we'll say, what does this mean, a good dream? So we'll say, dreams often represent, your goals, your aspirations. And it's always interesting to see what people dream about. Not just what you dream about, when you're sleeping, but what you dream about in general life. What are my dreams? What are my dreams? You have to have a lot of siyata d'shmaya, divine providence, to dream the right dreams. Because you know what the problem is? If you dream the wrong dreams, and you have the wrong goals and aspirations, you totally go down the wrong road in life. To even have the right dreams, the right goals, the right aspirations, requires HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. I will say one more line and we'll stop for tonight. The Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, there are three things that God Himself decrees, only God Himself. And I will say the Gemara essentially is highlighting this idea that certain things the Ribono Shel Olam outsources to ministering angels. But there are three things that only God decides and God deals with Himself. And they are Ra'av, famine, Sova, plenty, Uparnis Tov. and a good leader. We'll say tonight is the leadership Gemara. It's incredible, right? So famine, plenty, and leadership. That is chosen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Rav dichsiv ki kara Hashem l'Rav. Sova dichsiv ekarasi as el hadagam verbesio. So parnas tov dichsiv ayomer Hashem Moshe leimor ra'ei karasi b'shem b'tzalel. So we'll say so beautiful. Isn't that incredible? So once again, whatever the election will bring, it'll bring. Just know the Ribono Shel Olam's candidate always wins. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says as follows: In Mamid Parnas Al Tzibor, we'll say this is actually very beautiful. In Mamid Parnas Al Tzibor, Ela Im Kenim Lochem B'Tzibor. We'll say you cannot appoint a leader over the congregation unless, of course, the congregation decides. So we'll say this is very interesting. In other words, you can't have a leader unless the flock, unless the tzibor agrees to it, which makes sense, right? Why does that make sense? Because a leader could only lead if he has the buy-in of his constituency. If you don't have the buy-in of the constituency, you can have the greatest leader in the world. It's not going to work. We'll say, who's the greatest proof of that? Who's the greatest proof of that? Moshe Rabbeinu. As tragic as that sounds, Moshe Rabbeinu was a fantastic leader, but at many times he did not have the buy-in of his constituency. And as a result, Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Can you imagine what Moshe Rabbeinu could have done had he had the full buy-in of Klal Yisrael? So therefore, again, the Gemara says you can't appoint a leader unless, of course, you go ahead and you ask. We'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up in Meretz Hashem. This is the Betzalel Gemara, which is going to get into the Mishkan. Incredible coming attractions. Again, my apologies about last night. But Baruch Hashem, so great to be back on track. And Meretz Hashem, we are, we're moving. We're moving. Right. Everyone is invited to join us for Chassidus. A beautiful spread tonight. Meretz Hashem.